I'm going to hit the
That's the
record.
best idea.
I'm going to say hello,
Okay.
welcome to us Wargamer, the Square Bast / 40k adjacent show remix. We're going to cover today some new 40k. We're also going to cover some old world, but we're joined by Val, my Square Bast co-host, and returning as if like an eagle from the sky or a falcon from the forest, the Falcon. Hello, baby.
Hey, baby.
Plosives.
Plosives. Yeah, that's how it works. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Pete, so great to have you back. Where have you been? What have you been doing?
I mean, I've been living in my new place now for almost a year. I've been
Wow.
back in the East Coast. It's been so long.
Wow.
Still commuting 300 kilometers a day for work, and otherwise, just living my life as best I can. Pretty busy.
I like that there's some misery left. Like
It'll
there's
never
a little,
go away. It'll never.
yeah. You know, it's an essential ingredient that like, yeah, sure, you're back in your homeland and there's some nice things happening, but also you have to drive 300 kilometers a day to work.
Yeah, but I work basically 1 week on, 1 week off, so it's not terrible. So just 1 week of my life, I spend 3 hours a day driving, and then the other week I lay around and talk to animals.
How was the winter?
That's pretty good.
Winter was great. The difference between consistent negative 40 and 50 degree, bullshit in the Arctic, and just having a little extra snow wouldn't change it for the world, baby.
Baby.
Top of the world.
Are you near the coast now? Is that right?
I am directly on the coast. Eating lobster, shaming French people, just doing the things that maritimers do.
That's what I've
Reach
always
into
loved.
the ocean and fucking crack it open.
Yep.
Slurp out its brains.
That's
As
how
they
you
do
do
in the
it.
Maritimes.
That's how you do it.
Just hanging out with a couple of salty seamen at the Bashed and Tackle shop.
Yep. We do have a big Bass Pro Shop now. It used to be an amusement park.
Oh, really? How
yeah, they bought
big
the
is
amusement
that?
park. It's big. It used to be called Crystal Palace. Look up Crystal Palace.
Wait, you don't have the pyramid one.
No, that's
no,
natural.
but we have a palace that is now a Bass Pro Shop,
Oh
and
my God.
it still looks like a palace.
If I was a bass, I would at this stage be very concerned.
Yeah, they should be.
Oh my God, I've just realized they are the mortal enemies of the show. The Pro Bass shop is now...
Wait a minute, aren't they pro bass though?
Oh, they are Pro Bass. Are they our friends? Wait, can we get
Are they pro
sponsored?
Bass or pro shops? I think they're just pro shops.
They might be Pro Shops. Can we
it
get
might be Pro
sponsored
Shop.
by Pro Bass?
It was the first thing that came through my head when you said it, was that why haven't you guys gotten that sponsorship?
We're a woke fishing show.
Yeah, that's what we are. Right, okay.
Beautiful.
So, Val, Pete, it's so great to have you back. And just to catch up with you about anything. So just feel free to be unhinged for the rest of the show.
That's the goal.
For people who
I don't think you have to give him permission for that. I think he'll be fine.
That's true. For people who have tuned into either the 40k Jason show or the Old World show previously, but no, the Old World show, and don't know who Pete is. During lockdown, we always did the 40k adjacent show. So we tried to talk about 40k, but oftentimes it'd be a lot about the Bush administration. I don't want to kick this show off in the wrong way, but Tucker got fired. Pretty good.
Crazy. Beautiful.
Beautiful moment. It's pretty good. And I don't know if you've seen.
Have you guys been following why he got fired?
Oh yeah, it runs quite the gamut. But the latest one with the whole prayer situation or whatever, and Murdoch being like, "That's too weird for me." That one was new.
I haven't seen that.
All I saw yesterday was that this is true because I remember I gleefully read a lot of the text message sort of transcripts that have been released in courts lately. The Elon Musk ones and the Fox News ones were particularly wild for revealing what pieces of shit they are. And there were some things though that were so shitty that they were redacted. And it was apparently just the extra quadruple star super shitty vibes brought by Mr. Tucker Carlson that were redacted because they were hoping that the judge wouldn't make them reveal what was behind it. And then the board of Fox News apparently found out what was behind the redacted blacked out parts. And it was so fucked up that they immediately sought to settle.
Wow.
Because they didn't want it to, and then they fired Tucker Carlson.
That's crazy.
It was 800 milli.
It was just like, oh, well, we're fucked. Like, they were fucked. So, like, they were already fucked, but to, like, just be that much extra fucked sauce, just a little bit on top, was fantastic.
It was a good
beautiful thing.
It was a good week. It was a good week.
And also, I remembered, like, when he got fired, I was being like, oh, well, whatever, he's fooling me around. But, like, let's remember that, like, Glenn Beck used to be a guy. Like, fucking Bill O'Reilly used to be a guy.
Yeah, and they just basically disappeared unless they went on Tucker Carlson's show. So
yeah, so it's a tremendous thing that this piece of shit is fucking deplatformed, unless he runs for president and then somehow miraculously wins. But that's not gonna happen.
Well, there's the rumor that that the Fox also has an Oppo file on him, and they're just like, you have to stay pretty quiet for a long time.
They probably have an Oppo file on the other two as well, which is why they shut the fuck up as well when they left. Like, yeah. I imagine, which is great. I love that.
This is, by the way, viewers who aren't familiar with the 40K Jason show, this is a classic piece of it where Val then goes, "The fuck's an Oppo file, guys? We both know what that is."
It's a thing that's probably illegal, but large companies do it anyway, where they just keep files on their employees of all the shitty things they've done, and then when they fire them, they're like, "Hey, this is basically blackmail, but here you go. You said all these really shitty things, and everyone's gonna find out."
Yeah. It's what I did when I left G-Dubs. Don't forget. The marketing manager came around my house. I filmed him. Like, he came around my house, like, knocking on my front door, told him to fuck off. I filmed him. And then since then, they blacklisted me, but they've not touched me. There's no Pinkertons coming. Yeah? Like, I'm ready. I
can't believe that GW hadn't thought about the Pinkertons before.
Like, of course they hadn't thought about that.
We're so on the Pinkerton trade, though. That's coming. We're aware that the Pinkertons are coming.
I'm
now.
fully expecting a Pinkerton at my door, and I don't even think they exist in Canada, but they'll show up and they'll be like, "Hey,
what's the deal with?" See, I only watch Due South, so what's the situation with Mounties nowadays? Still pretty chill and have a dog, or not the best?
They don't have as many dogs. They're basically just cops.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure Mounties usually associated with horses, guys.
Yeah, but not in Due South.
Not in Due South. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm out of my element here.
Val, are you not a Paul Gross fan? What? I can't believe it. You're Canadian.
You never watched Due South?
You told me how much you loved Passchendaele. That you said it was your favorite movie of all time.
It is one of the most notable films I've ever seen. Passchendaele, everybody, amazing. I can't believe I haven't met the Supercut.
Dry matches.
You got to do it. Paul Gross, I saw him perform live Henry V.
Nice.
And I just remember he was doing and he's the spittiest talker of all time. And there was this moment he was doing one of the many impassioned soliloquies in Henry V. And this geyser of spit just flew from his mouth into the open mouth of the person he was acting opposite with. And just ever since I saw that, I haven't thought of Paul Gross the same way.
I'm concerned, is all I'm going to say. I'm wondering if I'm trying to show everyone. So Due South, just for anyone who's wondering, is this. There you go. But I haven't done this in a while, and I'm a bit concerned because while huge fan of Due South,
as you should be,
my man on the left has got big Hercules vibes. Like, where is he? Where is he 30 years on? Like, is he down some sort of conspiratorial rabbit hole? I'm worried, is what I'm saying. But otherwise, great TV show. Absolutely one of the best, in my personal opinion. Big fan. Okay.
When you found out Paul Gross's dad was Leslie Nielsen, just peak
what?
Show.
Is that true?
No, it's not
in the
true.
series. In the series.
Yes.
Not in real life.
I thought that was just men with brooms.
Also, I think that was probably why they did Men with Brooms together.
Oh.
So someone in the chat has asked who the Pinkertons are. The Pinkertons are a private security firm that people hire to union bust.
The originals.
And while we
OGs.
nowadays have like much more professional outfits like BlackRock, who are more like, I would say, private security firms, private killing firms. Like they kind of upgraded. 10% of which Games Workshop was owned 10% by BlackRock. FYI. I now kind of
I'll
wonder.
have to explain that to you.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'm excited.
So, yeah, this came up, and then we got massively derailed. So the reason why BlackRock owns 10% of Games Workshop is no nefarious or on-purpose reason. Games Workshop eventually reached a size in market cap, so the value of its total stocks, where it qualified for indexes, so including the UK and the European stock indices. So because it got so big, it had to be included in those things. BlackRock is one of the biggest purveyors of index funds. And so if the index that fund tracks suddenly includes Games Workshop, it has to buy up Games Workshop to hold that proportion of Games Workshop stock in its fund.
Oh.
So that's what happened. So although it might be a few percentage point, maybe a fraction of a percent of the total fund that BlackRock has, because it's held in that fund and that fund is so massive, it might wind up being a substantial portion of the underlying asset, in this case, Games Workshop. It's not 10% though.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
Pete, yeah, I don't know if you found that. We found that out just randomly on the show one day. We were like, oh, he does own this. And we're like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Anyway.
You'll see Vanguard's up there too. There's a lot of, so it's these are actually passive investment instruments.
Okay.
Which, yeah, so that's why it's not.
You can always tell when Val's about to talk about finances because he gets tired. Like immediately. He's just like, okay, now let me tell you the actual truth about life. Money isn't real.
Well, let's bring it back.
Make it all up.
Let's bring it back because we do have new 40K
the fiat
to talk
system
about.
is a sham.
I just feel like that no matter what I say on this topic, it's gonna be the same thing as GW has a church. Like, yeah, kind of like a prayer room or something. I know, man. Like some people like church. It's not like a conspiracy, Rob.
I haven't ever said it's a conspiracy.
You should return to the gold standard.
Yeah. I'm not involved in the church. Okay, let's try to bring some semblance back. This is where we are. 10th edition is coming out.
Yes.
How much do we know without getting that? We now need like a Pinkerton watch. It's kind of like a game where it's like, how much can we talk about before the Pinkertons get us?
I can take it.
I don't. So I've not kept up with any 40K news at all, apart from you can't buy the lion. Is all I've seen.
And Twitter is blaming artists. They're blaming YouTubers like you for being the reason why no one can get the lion.
Why am I getting blamed?
Because you are a content creator, so obviously they sent you like 11 lions to paint, and they didn't make any more. They only made enough to give to content creators.
Genuinely, that probably happened.
Yeah, definitely
it's true.
Yeah, my favorite lion thing is that they gave one to like Pete the Wargamer, and I got no problem with Pete's content, but Pete is like a conversion guy. He like just does conversions and stuff, and so his first thing was like, "I'm gonna chop this the fuck up," and I'm like, I don't know if like everyone else, yes, you specifically because your USP is I just break your miniature. I would probably not put him on that one singular list. All the rest, great, go at it. But I feel like do you know what I mean? That's just the one guy. Not to call Pete out. Pete does great content, wonderful person. Just want to say that. Just if I was not going to send it to one person, that would be him. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. So that's my. I don't know if you got any thoughts on that.
No, I mean I saw two. I think they featured one of them, like really kit bashed lions that were from the like content creator sent out. So,
okay, all right, great. Yeah, I know I don't hate all Pete's or even that Pete. Yeah, so I haven't been keeping up with 40K. Val, you've been getting more and more 40K pilled. I've seen it in the chats.
I mean, I would say I'm getting a little 40K curious. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But that's about it. Also, I just want to shout out Ian McShane, because every time you guys say Pinkertons, all I can think of is Ian McShane.
I mean, all I think about is Red Dead Redemption, because they were the bad guys in that game.
Red Dead's got Pinkertons too.
Yeah. They are the bad guys in one of the main bad guys in both Red Dead games.
I think Deadwood. When I think Pinkertons, I think Deadwood. I think Al Schweringen being like, then we'll get the damn Pinkertons.
The fucking Pinkertons.
The fucking Pinkertons.
Yeah, man, it's Ian McShane. 40K, Fatty K. There's a few things that they're signaling that I appreciate just from their from the way it looks like it's being designed, and I was quite cynical about it, and I was still mad that they went to 9th edition in the middle of the pandemic. It's looking promising. I don't know how you feeling about it, Pete.
I mean, I thought 9th edition was going to be amazing, and then they botched the codexes. So I'm really hoping that they don't do that, because like 9th edition rules were generally fine. It was just the codexes were a fucking shit show. And now we're looking at
fantasy. Am I right, guys?
All right, guys.
And now, they're super simplifying a lot of things, and there are definitely some things that excite me. The new terrain rules being like toned down, universal special rules, which I've been asking for since 8th came out. Super stoked to see those back.
Can I push back on this a little bit, because I haven't had anyone really. Obviously we don't do the 40K Spy Center at the moment, so I haven't had anyone to discuss this with in detail. But in no way do the rules look simpler. No. Nor, in my opinion, does it look like there are any less rules. I think I think that's you're an incredibly smart man, Pete. So I think when you see something that makes sense. But I don't think it's any less. I think it's just as wordy. I don't think it's particularly shorthanded. I would this tagline that they've thrown out is simpler, not simple, or whatever it fucking
Which is such a hackneyed. It was a very clumsy line, but yeah.
Yeah. And I really don't think it can be accused of being simple. It doesn't look like much more than a potentially quite well needed refresh of some of the infrastructure of the rules, and also addressing elements of the rules. Again, I haven't read it in detail, but I read one of the weapon profiles. I was like, that isn't any simpler. That's complex, and there's a lot happening there. And while I agree with you about USRs, I think having 1,800 USRs is just the same as having rules all over the place, right?
So I would disagree, and the reason being, the main problems we had with 9th and with 8th was that they got rid of universal special rules, and then whenever they released a codex, because their quality control was kind of shit, if you would have 3 rules that all did the same thing with slightly different wordings.
Agreed.
And so people would, really dig down on that and be like, well, why is the and in this other spot? That must mean it's completely different, right? And it just caused game breaking mechanics and just fuckery, right? So universal special rules are big for simplifying the game in that regard, in that there's going to be theoretically less confusion about those specific instances. On top of that, the new terrain rules are definitely far more simplified. The fact that cover is effectively just cover unless you're 6 inches in the air, that's going to make a huge difference. Things like that, that's where the simplification of the game is coming in. We have to see more about, from the codex perspective, to see how many detachments are armies getting access to and stuff, to see if army rules are more simplified. I get what they're trying to push with this concept of, when you run your army, you only need 2 pages of rules. Sounds great, at least from a personal perspective. When you're playing with a new player and having them fish through 25 different stratagems because they want to figure out the thing that's going to work best for them. Whether that will, translate to everybody has 12 different detachments that they could possibly run, and that's where the confusion comes from, we'll have to see. That's kind of the thing I'm hesitant about now, to see where that goes.
Hey, go on, Val. Val, I wanted to hear the positives, or you could talk on this bit. Sorry, how are you feeling about this part?
Just from the simplification point of view, I want to hop in that I think this is kind of how AOS tracked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Rob. But it feels like they're trying to get a lot more of it, so the game plays more from the the data sheet or the war scroll or whatever you call it in AOS. So that way, so it's more about how the combinations are more about combinations of units rather than combinations of effects and abilities that you layer onto an existing unit. There's more to me, it looks to me like there's more on the table, if that makes any sense, rather than above it and sort of explained at you.
I really feel for them in a load of ways, mainly because they make infinite profit almost, and they really, really undervalue and under-resource the employees who create the rules and the game design. So massive shout out to those guys trying their hardest in an environment where they should get more money, especially under the level of scrutiny it gets.
Rob, they should just be fired and replaced when they get up at you.
Also that, I'd like to point out. So that's the first pitch. Second pitch is Age of Sigmar does have some design in line. So what you would call power combos, one unit benefits one unit and it doesn't benefit any other unit. So you would, if you were taking a squig boss, he works well with squigs, doesn't work well with trogs, right? So if you're going to run trogs, then you would have a trog boss. They kind of work in line together. Makes sense. I get it. A necromancer works with zombies and doesn't really work with the vampires. So that's quite a nice little solution. In Age of Sigmar though, and I think would be fair to also see in 40k, is some of the armies are so structurally different in how narratively those armies are produced that you would kind of want the rules to be different. Space Marines can almost be autonomous with no interceding rules coming from anywhere else. They can almost exist purely from their data sheet and their chapter tactic, right? Whereas with maybe G-Steel Occults, you would want there to be a lot of maybe overlapping rules that you produce from other sections. A Space Marine captain definitely makes his guys better, but Space Marines are phenomenal, right? So you wouldn't want the Space Marine captain to Space Marine captains more should be a hammer hero versus being some sort of strategic genius, because all Space Marines are basically strategic geniuses, effectively.
Yeah.
Whereas with G-Steel Occults, the Primus, it has to be something you write a lot of rules around, right? Or the what the brood, I forget what it's called, the progenitor of the kind of the big one.
The Brood Lord.
Yeah, the Brood Lord. Thank you. You would want everything to be existing around that. So I almost feel you can't or shouldn't. Well, that's a personal opinion. Design a game system around it being widely linear. In okay, we're doing Tau. We'll design the Tau exactly how we design, as in the through line, as in placing the rules in the same places as we would Space Marines, because it would feel odd. But they don't have that language skill. They don't have those resources. They don't have the time to do that development, and they definitely don't have the people who they pay to do those jobs. So I don't know, to me personally, I think 40k is a phenomenal setting, but everything I've seen from the rules so far, I've just been it feels a bit like fan service. They're you can now put Marines in a Raider, and I'm all right. Cool. Okay.
So, I want to hop in there just real quick because I think that's the wanking motion was definitely how I reacted to almost everything I heard at first. But I think there are enough changes at this point that for example, speeding up the game, for example, and that thing you just commented on, the transports thing. Well, if you think about I've been playing a lot of fantasy, and it's a pain in the dick to get those guys on the trays, but once you're actually deployed and on the table, the game moves faster in a lot of ways because you're just moving around blocks. And the fact that they have realized that if you have your units in transports and encourage the use of transports, you're going to speed up the game of 40k phenomenally. And I don't know, Pete, maybe I didn't play in those days, but I wondered immediately if that's why 5th actually was faster, because you had so much less that was foot based, and you had a lot more stuff that was based in transport.
Yeah, well, at least until Grey Knights came out, that was kind of the concept, right? Early 5th edition Rhino Rush was a thing. Land Raiders for Space Wolves later, drop pods, that all kind of did speed up the early rounds of the game to a degree. So yeah, I would say you're right. You're not pushing 40, 50 bodies around all the time. Starting in turn 1. So yeah, I agree with that. I do like that transports are making a comeback, as they really, unless they were broken, they hadn't been seen. We'll have to wait and see all the rules to see if it's true that people will go to them. But I mean, right now it looks like they're heavily pushed.
I would say
like a lot of.
Oh God, sorry, Pete. After you.
I was just gonna say, like, a number of the changes they're making are things that everybody's just thought should have been the case. Like, why can't Primaris guys get into any transport? Why can't? Like, it was just all stuff, and they would always have really stupid excuses. So it's good to see those things in place.
I wanted to say about the simplified, not simple. Like, and also this is true. 40k is a phenomenal game. Current version of 40k is an outrageously phenomenal game. Like, incredibly good. Like, and my metric for that, and you're both going to shout at me now, I'm sure, is that it sells gangbusters. And event tickets sell gangbusters. So if it was just it sells, but no one went to events, then like I'd be like, okay, like it's a great universe, but it's not a great game to play. Baby, you literally can't put on enough events. That thing is chock-a-block. I don't know if you've been tracking the numbers on like attendance, but I assume. I mean, obviously it will ignore the COVID period of time, but I'm sure that like. And that has to
it's
be
outrageous.
Outrageous.
And no one will come to Falcon, unfortunately. But,
oh, really?
Oh, I'm having a hard time selling tickets. Unfortunately, there's a big team tournament in Ontario the same weekend. So, trying to make it work. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should come to
Falcon.
Yeah, flack you. But it's incredibly popular. Like, so you don't have to change anything. Why would you change anything if your game is so successful? And so it feels like it's a lot of like fascia changes, no real structural changes in my personal opinion. Like, but that's all again what I've like casually touched on. For people who play the game, it must seem easier. After you, Val.
So unless Pete, you got something because I keep jumping in.
Go ahead.
Like the toughness thing. I don't think like honestly, the toughness thing I think is massive. Maybe I overstated it because I made a comment somewhere about it. But that was the thing that immediately piqued my interest because that to me says to me that they understand systematically something about what has held 40k back and made 40k maybe less interesting than it could be. And just the fact that they're opening up the toughness scale beyond 10 essentially, and they're allowing like units to have like a much wider spread on that toughness scale means that you're going to get a much bigger stratification of units, and you're going to get a better situation. You're going to have a situation where like one tool can't solve every problem, which is I think one of the things that 40k has always had in my experience is just you find the thing that gives you the highest rate of fire at the most acceptable amount of strength, and each edition kind of has like a strength and a rate of fire that's the best, but or like AP combination that's the best, but nonetheless that's what you want to do because you just want to roll dice. But if you set it up so that, certain things just, even if you've got a good anti-infantry weapon, you can't kill tanks and knights with it. That right there changes the game really fundamentally, I think, because you're going to have to like think very differently about the types of armies you're building. And again, reminds me a lot more of old Square Bast over here, which was really built on a toughness 3 system, where like, your average Joe is toughness 3 and things scaled out from there. And I think 40k probably started as a toughness 4 system and then added Imperial Knights and super heavies, and it broke. And I think it's taken them over 10 years to figure that out, and they seem to be addressing it. And that to me is exciting.
The other version of that story is that like the numbers go up marketing is just very, very solid. Like, and it's provable from last year. Like when you had like a Tau railgun, it was like it's strength 8 bajillion, and people are like, whoa! Like marketing is like so good when numbers go up. You're like, Orc boys, okay. You're like, okay, did you give them AP? Like, you AP 1. Is that enough? Not really. Like, okay, cool. But what did you do? Made them toughness 5, baby. That was literally their pitch for New Orc boys, that they had +1 to a number. Like, and so extending how far they can add those numbers lets you add big spicy numbers, which numbers going up is great marketing. Like, you want that, right? In my opinion. Like, I'm not saying that is the only reason. It's definitely everything you said is also valid, but you can also just be like, numbers go up, baby. Like, did you know Space Marines now are toughness 6? You're like, what the shit? They must be the best Space Marines ever. I can't wait to buy them.
But it might very well be the case that they should be toughness 6. But the problem is that a Rhino was toughness 7. You know what I mean? Like, it could be that Custodes should be toughness 6, but a Rhino was toughness 7. So if you make a Rhino toughness 9 or 10, now you do have room to make your infantry comparatively more tough. And I understand the impulse to like poo this, but like this is something I fucking complained about for a long time. And especially when like their D6 mechanic for wounding, like based on toughness, scales super well. I think it's a very clever mechanic. Whoever came up with it, just like the if it's if your strength is +1, what is it? It's a 3 up. If it's double, it's a 2 up, and then the reverse for the other way. Like that scales super well if you use the full toughness scale, or like expand it out. So I think that's why it is actually quite awesome. It's not just numbers go up. Numbers go up was, I think, a response to the fact that they would paint themselves into corners, and like they would have they're in this constant grind of like things would get were either too killy or too easy to die because that there was just like weapons that could kill everything with impunity. Now you'll have situations where you need an anti-tank weapon to crack the transport to get to the gooey guys inside, which won't be killed very well by the anti-tank weapon. You know what I mean? Like you'll have to have different things to solve different situations. I hope that's like, to me, it looks like they have opened up a real big, what would old Rob say, design space for themselves.
Yes, it's true. What are the couple of bits that you really like, Pete? Like, what's the bit that you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's the bit I really like and I'm hype about?
For me right now, the transport thing is a big thing for me. I was really happy with the change in tough, like Val's been talking about, change in toughness. This seeming push. We'll see if it translates to paper, translates to the board, I should say, of like needing to use vehicles, like to get around the board. That excites me because it should speed up the game, make things a little more exciting. And then I really think this, just this change to terrain. I'm not as big on the character changes, because I think because I have like some bad memories of 6th and 7th and the Death Stars, even though I know that they're limiting you to one character per unit type thing.
No, that's what.
Well, in the core rules,
Death Star problem is coming.
Like in the core rules, who knows if they've got like something like you can also add this character to a unit as well, which comes.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be some armies like Gene Stealer Cult or something where they're going to be able to add 20 characters to a unit or something, and they'll break it at some point. But like that's like I do have some skepticism around that. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out at the end, because usually the first couple books it's how you feel the game's going to play. And we've seen this every edition. And then like the 4th book comes out and it's completely busted. And you're like, oh, okay. They just changed their ideas again. So,
do you know what's crazy? Do you know what's crazy? Thinking about what you were just saying then, is we know how their timeline works, is that we're a year away from them starting to write 11th edition. Yeah. Like I know that sounds super weird, but like, because when you end up, like, because we're at the end of this version of 40k.
Why do you have a toothbrush in your hand?
I'm using it to clean my opinions out. No, I'm cleaning a model. I've made myself an Age of Sigmar army, which I think is really good. I'm calling it the anti-frog army. No offense, Pete,
don't do
but
that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah. I'm going after the slans. I'm a slan hunter now.
I thought that was some sort of. I thought it was some sort of anti-francophone slur.
No. I'm after the slan. I'm hunting them. The slan.
Shame.
Well,
nothing wrong with them.
Someone has to hunt them. They are strong. Is the answer.
They should be.
Yeah. So okay.
Bring back Lord Mazdamundi.
They should bring it back. That would be awesome.
It's like the biggest mistake they could have ever made was just trashing him. Can you imagine the model? Imagine like how many of them I would buy if they made Zlak and Mazdamundi.
Mazdamundi in Total War is staggeringly cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Why is there not an AOS Mazdamundi? He'd be so fucking cool. Just take a Stegodon, size it up like 30%. Have it climbing rocks like from his signature spell where he like would open the earth, like have them like floating, kind of like the Grimnir from Votan, with Mazdamundi on top with his little fucking frying pan, just like doming people. It'd be be so good. Way back in the day, Cool Mini or Not had one of the top rated minis was a custom Mazdamundi, and all my life I was like, I wish that I could make that or buy that because it's just so cool.
Yeah, is Cool Mini or Not still a thing?
I don't know. Maybe it's now a porn site. It probably is now a porn site.
I think something happened a couple of years
don't
ago.
They make their own? They make their own stuff, don't they? They make their own.
No, something happened. Oh, they got pushed out. So they were like the painting. They were the painting event at Adepticon, and then the Pinkertons.
That was Crystal Brush.
Pinkertons.
But the Crystal Brush. Exactly, but Crystal Brush was organized by Cool Mini or Not. Same group. Same group.
Okay.
And then the Pinkertons /
Pinkertons and the Wagner group came together.
And
formed an alignment.
Yeah.
Man, these conversions for Mazdamundi aren't even complicated, and they're so cool.
Like he's just such a badass. Like
it's literally...
he had the worst rules in fantasy because he would just die to fucking cannons, but like he's so cool.
I think more importantly, he was like 2,000 points.
He was 650, I want to say. If you ran him, you could only run him.
Yeah. I don't know that he fitted. I think he had to be. I think he had to have like the Grand Clash or whatever.
No, because once End Times came out, your hero and lord.
No one did that, Pete. Only you.
Oh yeah, people did that. People did that, buddy. Trust me, I fucking dealt with it all the time. It was bullshit for like a year, but I loved it.
Right, so Val, what's your what are the things that made you excited about new 40k? Just to stick on that for a moment.
First of all, I just want to say that after Pete's rare showing of affection and nostalgia, by the way, subtweeting us that he missed us, didn't tag us in the tweet.
I didn't want you to know.
Didn't say, hey guys, you want to do a show or anything? Just.
I mean, I was feeling
moaned
lonely
into the void.
Exactly. I forgot that I had 666 followers exactly, and I was so stoked about that, and I never screenshotted it. And then some dildo fucking followed me like yesterday, and now I'm at 667, and I'm just like, get out of here.
Two more, you're 669 though, so you're.
It's true. Okay,
there's a silver lining there.
We're good.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, that's coming.
But anyway, it inspired me to nostalgically look back at some older shows. And I discovered that I was quite the show apologist for Games Workshop.
What?
Throughout the entire run. And it was sad to me. I was like, how did they radicalize such a fanboy? Because like in the face of overwhelming evidence, I refuse to not be a fanboy in that particular context.
And now it's me.
And now look at me. Now
I'm the problem. It's me.
So I'm reluctant to be enthusiastic about 40K, and I understand the traps, but I do have to say that there's some things that they're doing that excite me, and I think I've kind of named them. Mostly it's opening it up because I think I really kind of want, once we get all of once Wahapedia has all of the new stats inputted, I really want to do a scatter plot of strength and toughness in this game versus the other, just to see, did they actually change the spread that much? Because that will have, I really do believe, a massive impact on what units can be taken, what units are useful in what situations, and change the game significantly.
Okay, great. That's good. It's nice hearing you're both positive. I'm not unpositive. I want to just be super clear. No,
you're negative.
No, I'm not. I just think
it's not that you're not unpositive. It's that you're actually.
No, it's just because they're marketing to it. They're marketing it wrongly to someone like me. What they're saying is a bunch of buzzwords, which doesn't really seem to play out in what I'm reading when I do read it. And so I say, well, I don't necessarily especially the simpler thing. I think again, 40K, the best game in the world because of its popularity, but. I would say that it's, and this kind of touches on what me and Val talked about a couple of weeks ago, is that it's in no way marketable to 80% of their audience. They have such a massive audience that their actual gamers that very small significant percentage of people that game furiously and love those sorts of things is very small, but it is very
unhinged.
It's unhinged. It's a brick wall. It's a brick wall to, I'm going to say, 80 to 90% of their 40k player base to put on the tabletop. And it's kind of weird that the biggest IP for miniature wargaming is like so incredibly densely difficult to get into. You feel like that there's a good market research person out there who's just going like, let's just make this like Star Wars, let's just make MCP, like let's just have tokens, let's just have simple stuff, let's have diagrams. Like if they were to just hire one guy that does infographics, like fucking one, like that's all you need. Like their entire industry, they could revolutionize the industry tomorrow, like based on other game systems that I've seen over the past year or so. And it would be so simple to have a couple of like fold out sheets that just tell you what you need to do, like, and they can make it really fun and engaging for a larger portion of the people. So I think the people who already absolutely love 40k have no problem with the new 40k. Because you're just selling 1-to-1, right? The rules changes are something that they've dealt with from last edition to this edition. They've already shown that they have no problem with incredibly dense, over-the-top rules where they're available. They're like, in fact, give me more in some cases. But for the other portion of the people, and in my opinion, Games Workshop's bottom line, not that it really matters because they're still going to make fucking loads of money, like, it just feels like a missed opportunity. That's all I'm going to say. Like,
to like do some like actual like groundbreakingly different simplification type stuff.
Like, yeah, to do some groundbreaking. Like, it doesn't mean like.
But if you have the demonstrably best game, and the metric, of course, being popularity and sales.
Yeah.
Is there not a point at which at some point you have to say to yourself, like, is there something about the complexity that makes it popular? Because that's where I come to. That's where I've gotten to.
I think there is an amount of crunchiness that you do want to keep having. And something I didn't mention earlier, so I'm going to derail this, getting rid of the psychic phase. That's actually something I love.
Wait, they got rid of the psychic phase?
Yeah.
It's gone.
And morale phase.
Wait.
And the morale phase.
Are there no psychic powers?
They're psychic powers, but they're now either guns, basically. So in your shooting phase, you'll have a profile that says, instead of shooting your gun, you can do one of these things, and they're all spells, but they just have the same profile as a gun. Yeah. It's just on the end it'll say psychic or whatever, which means it'll do mortal wounds. And then basically all casters are going to have one or two signature spells on there that'll say, like, in the movement phase, roll a die, and on a 1 or on a 2+ you can do this type thing. So
right, okay, so they're effectively buff support pieces, but you don't
exactly need to... just like captains and everything else are going to be. So you put your psyker in a unit, and like one of the examples is like a librarian, and his psychic abilities are like, he has smite, which is basically like a 18-inch gun that does mortal wounds, and he would also give, just by being in a unit, he buffs them to give exploding sixes.
It's kind of a fascinating thing where the ability is like, so the ability that the individual pieces have is justified by whatever lore reason they have them is, but mechanically they are all the same, right? They function as like pieces of the profile, which there's a piece of me that mourns because, again, I'm so super into fantasy right now, and I love the Magic phase in 8th edition.
Oh yeah, I miss my 8th edition Magic phase.
So there's a piece of me that mourns that, but also the fact that you have a specific phase that for reasons like the dwarves or in 40k, the Tau, or any number of factions just don't interact with that phase has always created this fundamental like imbalance between the armies and the factions, because certain factions narratively just don't interact with magic or psychic stuff. So to like remove it feels like an opportunity to sort of smooth that over, because it now, like, if you're Tau, you still have ethereals that function essentially like a psyker might, but you know, they don't pine for a phase that they don't participate in. They will have units that still activate and do cool buffing things or shoot versions of mind bullets and whatnot. Like, I feel like it works well.
Okay, all right. Well, ultimately, I'm excited to see how people feel. But in my opinion, it'll be super successful. Everyone will be a great time. How you feeling? How you both feeling about Tyranids, and just more Space Marines? I'll throw my 10 cents in. I'm over Space Marines now. They're over. They've jumped the shark.
Yeah, they're done. They should be cancelled.
Yeah, I think so. But like, just make it Guardsmen all the way down. In my opinion,
I would be in for that.
I'd be in for that. But Tyranids, they're looking cool. What do you think so far, Petey?
I mean, it's cute. It's cute. I knew that there was a Tyranid refresh coming for a while. I thought more would have come out in 9th, but it makes sense if they're the 10th edition box set that they were going to wait. I like that they're doing callbacks to really old editions for the Grognards with the Von Richten's Leapers or whatever the fuck he called them, because that's a 3rd edition reference back in the early days of Tyranids. Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. The new Tyranid Prime with wings looks kind of cool. I like that he's got a smaller profile. Yeah, like Tyranids are cool. Space Marines, we knew they still have probably like 16 kits they have to release, so, and there's going to be more. Like I actively know of 4 or 5 more kits that'll be released in 10th that I'm sure are going to make people super excited.
I think I'm trying to ramble about Space Marines. I think again the reason why this Primaris launch over the last 10 years has been so awful in a lot of ways is that they haven't been replacing kits. They've been duplicating kits.
Yeah.
So like every other army, like you're not going to buy. Well, actually, you can buy the old Saurus Temple Guard for some reason, but like you can't buy the old Saurus Warriors now that they've been replaced. Like because there's new Saurus Warriors, whereas there's Primaris Marines and Tactical Marines, so it makes it extra insufferable.
And like that's crazy to me. They should have just called them Primaris Saurus Warriors. They look so much cooler.
They do
so much cooler.
They do look cooler.
And I have some of the old school original Saurus Warriors who do not look cool.
Udama fifth Saurus, 5th edition Saurus Warriors.
Yeah, the tiny little guys with the sticks. Yeah, cool. And I have the old skinks with that actually had short bows.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's a good paint job for them. I've seen people try. I've seen some pretty masterful painters do some work on the old stuff, and it just makes them look okay. It's just like you can't. And someone's gonna come in here and tell me I'm wrong, and I don't give a shit. You are wrong.
Do you know what I want? I want justice for the terrain feature that Space Marines had that never saw enough play, in my opinion. That was a bold choice.
The drop pod bunker?
The bunker, yeah. It didn't get it never saw enough play, and I'm gutted about that.
Never saw any play.
But Rob, I believe some rumors are that we're gonna get AOS style like faction based terrain. That's gotta tickle your fancy.
It becomes wildly problematic, in fact, actually, because like, because what happens
all
is
the terrain pieces are racist.
Damn it!
As is the way.
Hashtag Squarebast. In Age of Sigmar, like, if you do a terrain map, for example, and don't go around the terrible player place terrain, then you then got to be like, okay, but now if I bring my bit of faction terrain, I could just make an impassable wall, which no one can get past. So you have to actually think through that problem as well on top, which isn't super problematic. You normally get it to just replace a bit of terrain that you've got on the board, which is kind of my process. And then hopefully they've thought through that process, and then they work that as well. So it's okay. Like, faction, again, in ACMR, not everyone has faction terrain, so it's like a weird, like, you do or you don't. Yeah. And, like, we have endless spells, but not every faction has endless spells, which, again, is super weird.
I didn't know that.
It's like Seraphon don't have endless spells, and you're like, what? Like,
I'm a little upset right now because you guys were like, what about new Tyranids? And I was like, new Tyranids? So I went to go look. And then on the Tyranid Prime with Wings article, they were like, and then Ripper Swarms. And I'm like, oh, cool, new Ripper Swarms? And it's an actual link to the Forge World Ripper Swarm.
Really?
Which is 3 for $54.
There are some pictures out there that GW put out that seem to show possible new Ripper Swarm units coming, but I don't think they're being released yet is the problem.
Okay.
I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I think they look good. They're fun. Tyranids are it'll be fun to see them really push the story with the Tyranids, because as a faction, like narratively, they're quite engaging into kind of the biomass eat.
Yeah.
But they don't really have any like internal politics, there's nothing about them that's quite like divisive. They are a homogeny, which obviously is evil. Like anything where the entire singular unit is working towards the greater of itself, the worst.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't have
Tyranids believe in the gold standard.
But yeah, like that's gonna be a weird protagonist, right? Because it's just monster eat.
Yeah,
much.
I mean, if we look at ninth, they made it Necrons until they just forgot. Like 6 months in, they were like, Necrons are doing real bad stuff. They're making people real sad. And the Silent King's back, and that's cool. Oh shit, there's Abaddon. And so we're gonna see the same thing, guaranteed. 6 months into 10th, they're gonna be like, the Tyranids are a problem. Abaddon's also a problem.
Abadabba.
He's a big bad guy.
Don't forget Vashtor.
Yeah, Vashtor. Maybe he'll have good rules in 10th.
It's kind of like the 90s, any like TV series in the 90s where you had the seasonal bad guy, that season's bad guy, who then would go away, but there was still always like, they'd be like, oh, here he is, Spike's back. Yeah, Buffy, leave Spike alone. She couldn't get off that.
Leave him alone.
She couldn't leave
him. He was so hot.
Except that Spike just vanished mid-episode, like 3 in to the season. Yeah,
he was only ever meant to be in 3 episodes.
He was meant to die. Joss Whedon threatened his life.
Sorry, I actually thought you guys were making generic references to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, failing to realize that Spike is a specific character that did only last 3 episodes.
Who I have met, and he is a beautiful soul.
You met James Masters.
I did, yes.
Amazing.
Someone, I was at Fan Expo in Toronto, 15, 16 years ago, and he was there. And I went to his little talk he did, and then I met him in person a little while later because he was just kind of wandering about. But in the talk, the funniest part of it was he was standing there answering questions, and this woman raised her hand. And so he's like, oh yeah, question from the lady in the back. And she stood up fully topless. And he was just like, oh, are you in the middle of something? And it was just the way he handled it. And she was like, oh, well, my baby's here. I was breastfeeding. He's like, okay, that's super cool. We'll come back to you when you're ready. Like you don't like, I'll
wrap up. Just wrap up.
But yeah, it was just such a, the shock to nonplussed in like a millisecond, like the eyes open and then like, okay, I can handle this, was just great. Anyway.
So what are we saying? Are we saying Abaddon is the Spike of 40K?
Abaddon is the Spike of 40K, okay. Guaranteed.
That's awesome.
I also just want to point out that we have 3 different logos on the show, and none of them are sponsors. And
right, okay, so 40K new edition. So some other little bits, because I think it's worth talking about as well, and I'll try not to bring up the Bass Pro Shop anymore. But it's Warhammerfest this weekend, and yours truly, the man, the myth, the legend, Rob, that's me, is going to be there live in person, holding handbags. Mainly,
as one does.
I am the photography assistant to the star. So
yes, you are.
Yes, I am. So if anyone, Miniac, I'm the handbag carrier. So if anyone wants to say hello to me at Warhammerfest, please do, and come say hi. That would be great. I'd love to say hello to anyone. But also, we should get some 40K Jason Show stickers. Can I do that in 24 hours? Probably yes. The question is. There is a bunch of releases, and I'll also be able to go play new 40K, which is which is actually on my list of things to do. My list, I have Warhammerfest is shit. I've been several times. Just so you know, there's nothing to do. There's literally
this one is bigger.
this one is bigger and therefore less to do probably because everything will be full. So I tend to take up whichever poor minimum wage staff that they've got that have to showcase the new game system. I intend to take up all of their time and just play the new games immediately.
So what portion of the area's single employee stores will have to be shut down entirely to staff Warhammerfest for 3 days? Like, will the entire retail wing, like in northern England, just like be shut down because they needed 25 people?
I don't know what the process is. They're flying all the Americans over, though, right? Like your American contingent of events team are being flown over to participate.
First class.
First class. Yeah, sure. First class. Yeah.
Yeah, for Mike Brandt's handbag, perhaps.
Hey, I'm his handbag holder. Because there is a 40k event there, and there's also an Age of Sigmar event there. They're also live streaming the 40k event. All 9 rounds, 0 coverage of the Age of Sigmar game at the event, 0. So,
I was gonna ask, how big is that event, Pete? Do you know?
Nope.
I wonder if it's the standard, because I think Mike generally caps at 256. So I wonder if that's if it got capped or not.
Some exciting news is that the schedule for the event is not the same as the event schedule for the live stream, and I'm not talking about minutes; I'm talking about hours. So that's pretty fun. But like either way, it's theirs. But the important part is there's going to be a bunch of reveals, and I wonder what you two think the reveals are going to be. So I've got them up on the screen now. The first one, 9 a.m. on the Saturday. Now, this is quite exciting. They announced this after people had bought tickets. So if you bought tickets for maybe later in the day, you already missed this announcement. I also think these previews are not in... There isn't a theater... There isn't like a hall where they're going to do any of the announcements. So they're actually being live streamed on Twitch. So if you're at Warhammerfest, you just have to watch it on your phone at Warhammerfest.
That's incredible.
What?
That's how they should do things, always.
Hold on. There's no live presentation at Warhammerfest?
Almost certain. It's not in
Mikey, no.
There's no space. Like, again, to show you the map.
Let's look at the map here.
There's a very large shop.
Parking lot, maybe?
But... Yeah,
they could stand on a table in the food hall.
No, they'll make them tear down the stream to do this.
No, that's only. Oh man.
But so what?
Pete, thanks. I'm so tired. I'm just gonna sleep under my desk now.
Not sure. That's
there's
the case.
That despair I'd been missing.
So they said that their seats are first come first serve for the presentations. Okay. Currently on the map there is no area for presentations. Is only my major issue. So even if I wanted to go to the presentations when I walk in, there isn't a. This is where the presentations will be bit on the map. So, but. We'll ignore that. That's fine. Let's assume that there's a presentation area. Do
you think the food stalls are going to be 40K themed?
Oh, what would you want?
I hope so.
Yeah. What would you want?
I don't know. Just some sort of a protein slurry for $40.
Because they do granola bars in 40K. I bet that's all it is.
Oh, so everyone's is pointing out that there's something called the auditorium entrance. So it's going to be in the auditorium at the top of the picture. So this grey area that
the
isn't
uncolored
marked,
area, yes.
The uncolored, unmarked area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Good. All right. Perfect. So there might be an in-person one. I apologize. It's just the map.
Well, maybe we'll add to the notes for the post-mortem that they should include some coloration around the auditorium.
Well, it's okay. You know where to hang out and paint. That's the important part. That's vital. Okay, so Warhammer 40,000 launch news. What do you think it's going to be? What do you think it's going to be? What could it be? 10th edition? Are we going to see the new Spas Marines? Are we going to see the launch
11th
box?
edition.
Yeah. What do you think it's just going to be the new?
I think it'll be the new launch box and probably one of the new Primaris units that we haven't seen before because they have to give us something.
Jump packs, maybe
either the new Primaris Vanguard vets, maybe the new Flamer dudes.
None of those have jump packs. Where are the goddamn jump packs, man?
That's what I mean. There's new Vanguard vets that would have jump packs, and they haven't been shown yet. Or maybe the new Flamer dudes, because I think that I've heard through the grapevine that there's a new Primaris Flamer unit that's like supposed to represent heavy Flamers, not just aggressors. And there's a couple other units it could be. So I imagine we'll get that. I imagine we'll get the box in like one new unit that's just like, hey, look at this pretty thing.
I think we get the announcement of an app.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely going to get the app, and well, we should get the app announcement as well, because I think that's mostly done now.
Okay, so the app is there. By the way, with my premiere ticket to Warhammerfest, I get a digital free codex. Did you know?
Oh, are you going to take Seraphon?
Included. Is that a codex?
I don't. Oh, it has to be 40K. You can't take a.
Well, I don't know. They've just written codex, so.
It's probably just a 9th edition codex.
Also, and I mean this quite sincerely,
they've just torn the like the code page out of like 1,000 different codexes. They could give them to you.
Yeah, but I already have all the books digitally, so I'm gonna let them know that when I'll be like, it's okay, bro, I've got this digitally, it's fine, thanks.
You should give it to someone in the street when you leave.
Yeah, I will. I was like, hey, do you want a code? So yeah, that's good. I'll give it away to someone in the chat. Okay, Warhammer 40,000.
Not in the chat. They don't deserve that.
They do.
No.
Yeah, let's go chat. Right. So then Warhammer 40,000, the app. Who knows what that will look like? And then noon, we got some stuff I don't think any of us really care about. Underworlds, Warcry, Middle Earth. So we're just going to skip that because who cares? Age of Sigmar. We're probably going to see the announcement of the new GHB. Also our narrative book for the summer, and then also probably the Cities of Sigmar stuff, which they'll expand upon, which is quite interesting.
Look at those logos, though.
But then, oh boy, 2 p.m. on Sunday, the Warhammer Old World. Pete, we haven't got your thoughts and feelings about the old model's new game. What do you think?
Fucking sucks.
It does fucking suck. Anything beyond that?
Nope.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, I'm hopeful that there are actually, the article didn't say there were no new models, and we have seen them show off like weapons and shit. So like there will be something. I was a little bummed that the Bretonnia, they seem to really be pushing like, here's all these old models, like cool, but like you could do so much better. Not that the Bretonnian models were shitty, like, but they've improved everything else so much. Why can't we get like a super cool like Grail Knight kit or something? I don't know.
Nothing makes sense. Although, Rob, I have noticed some resurgence of the Empire and Orc based starter set. Do we see something other than Tomb Kings and Bretonnians? And we've been hoodwinked all along.
We've been wink-hooded.
So we could have. As I understand it, the first 4 armies out are Orcs, Goblins, Empire, Tomb Kings, and Bretonnia, as I understand it. Like, based on coffee shop rumours, please don't send the Pinkertons. So those are what we're currently hearing, which is nice. With and again, not to express those things publicly, with the with maybe some factions we were never expecting on the horizon. But yeah, we could have been hoodwinked. I'm not sure. I've enjoyed this week, Val, you noticing the actual plummeting of the prices for Tomb King kits available online, right? It's been
I have actually.
This has been a fun thing.
It's real, and it's actually quite staggering. And it's led me to actually wonder, like, this is probably the best time to buy. I would just guess, because Tomb Kings feel like they're getting to roughly retail price on eBay right now.
Yeah.
So like this feels like this is probably the best time to buy a Tomb Kings army, because when it actually does launch, GW will instantly sell out, and then everything will be twice the cost again on eBay. Yeah, it's a weird thing going on in the secondary market right now.
Yeah, it's very weird. I think we see the box because I'm putting it as November. I'm not sure if they'll do it yet because maybe they don't want to fuck around with 10th edition box. But 2 boxes at the like, you don't
at least some minis, right?
Right.
Why they've never had Old World in a preview. This is the first time Old World's ever appeared in a preview period.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so I mean, and they don't have Blood Bowl in there, so like, it's got to be a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's taken up all that precious Blood Bowl time. That famously precious Blood Bowl time they've had in previews in the past.
Oh yeah,
the hours they've spent talking about their new Dingle Hop Flipper Jop, fucking specialty wizard.
My bigger question is like Horus Heresy. What the hell are they going to do with Horus Heresy now that the books are done? Like, isn't this sort of like keeping the Lord of the Rings movies license now that the movies have been out for 20 years? Like, it just feels strange that they're like, I don't know what happens with the Horus Heresy franchise in general right now.
Move on to the Scouring. Do that.
Yeah, this is Scouring to move on to. Absolutely, like that's huge, and eventually they do the reunification wars, right? Like that they go back to the Emperor reforming everything,
and then we get
zombie forward
models and shit, and yeah.
That definitely happens. Yes, I think so. I don't know. Like, I mean, does any of it matter if they can just make the same Space Marine as the last time and then they just sell you it again? Like, just like, do you need anything smart? Like,
yeah, you idiots will just gobble it up anyway.
Bro, yeah, maybe. Will. That's why I'm not going to the lectures. That room will stink of like excitement and enthusiasm. Like it will be musky, and I do not want to go in there.
A thirsty room.
Yeah, it'll be a very thirsty room. Like, I can't watch adult men like clap when a Space Marine comes on. That's weird. I can't. I can't do it. Like, I love this hobby. And I love this thing.
Self-respect.
Come on, man. You can't do it. Like, no.
Yeah, come on, guys. It's not like it's a plane that's landed. Come on.
Yeah, I do. Wait, Pete, does that happen where you are? Do people clap when the plane lands?
Yeah.
I often clap.
And I want to hit everyone. I want to hit them all. Like, I am not a violent person. That just gets me.
That's just because you talk to pilots a lot.
Yeah.
And interact with them.
And I know how a plane lands. And, like, the pilot did nothing. The pilot did, unless you're in like a fucking Cessna, the pilot pushed probably 30 buttons, by the way, because it is at least that complicated, but he did it 5 minutes ago. And then after that, he's just like, this is going to do the rest. So here we go.
I really hate when people clap in the cinema after the movie. I clap in the cinema after the movie. That's legit. That's a work of art.
Yeah, I take my shirt off at the end of the movie. I clap.
I'm a fan of any sort of public displays or like public interactions amongst strangers, except for wahing at tournaments. That's where that'd be the equivalent of the airplane clap is the wah at tournaments. But aside from that, I'm all about like giving some woos. I like catcalling, that kind of stuff. It'd be good.
I am if
we're on a plane together and you clap when we land, Val, I am pushing you out of the door.
All I know is that if you actually do come to Toronto, I'm making you drive to my house just so I could see what happens. I know what happens when Uncle Rich comes to my house, and he lives in Hamilton, and he cannot handle it. So
I've driven downtown Toronto. If that's what you're referring to, like I've done that.
That's what happened, huh?
Yeah.
You went for driving downtown Toronto, and then just all of the brain cells just ripped in half.
When it takes half an hour to go one block, yes, yeah, definitely.
Love it.
When you're cruising down Spadina at 5 a.m, though,
Spadina.
Man, you get all the time in the world to think about your life.
I've just noticed that the event at Warhammer World, which is a golden ticket event, calm down. Probably the only one in the UK at this point because it's not going well. This side of the pond is all I'm going to say. Like,
really?
It was like everyone's like, we got to pay. they're like, yeah, like no, that's a big no thanks, gang. Generally, they're also
Zach,
not.
Zach, the UKTC didn't slurp up a bunch of golden tickets.
Oh yeah, of course. Like each one of his events is a golden ticket event. Sorry, I'm exclusively talking about Age of Sigmar in the independent scene. That's the kind of. But what is the golden ticket? If you win an event, you get a free ticket to an event in the USA for the World Championships, but you do not get flights paid for or travel paid for to go. So it's on the TOs themselves to pay for that. The idea is that the golden ticket prize, in quotation marks, will boost your ticket sales, which is not, unfortunately, it seemed worked for many of the events. We got the Welsh Open this weekend. That's not a golden ticket event. We just had an event recently that was like 12 people. One of them won a golden ticket.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And then, but like, for 40k, obviously, Zach's just got that in the bag, right? But Zach would sell those tickets anyway, so I think he's just giving Games Workshop $1,000 for each event he runs at the minute, right?
I have to address something here.
Yeah.
Because I'm noticing that the chat seems to think that I love hollering at women because I mentioned cat calling.
You mentioned cat calling, yeah.
Listen. While that may be true, what I was using cat calling in a more generalized sense of just yelling at people in public without invitation. Now, this is not necessarily of a sexualized nature. A lot of times, just a woo or a hey, or a hey bud, something like that.
A classic hey bud.
Not like whistles and like high fiving my bros. Most contexts.
Thank you.
Just to be clear.
Because hashtag square bast.
Because I mean, I am standing in front of a large fish with a fist. So clearly, I'm credible.
Thank you to our sponsors, the Bass Pro Shop.
Yes, thank you to Bass Pro Shops for everything you've provided for us today. Mainly Val's hat.
I would like it if one day the three of us are at the bank of a river, just fishing. Yeah, and that's the ad.
I would love it.
Welcome to Bass Pro Fishing. The Square Bass, sponsored by Bass Pro Fishing.
I would love it.
Anyone out there in the chat who is part of the Bass Pro, I assume they call themselves a family. Please do get a foot in the door. That would be great. It's 9 rounds at this event. 9 rounds.
Yeah, 9 rounds. Nine is the new 5.
But that's also how Brant always does it. Because actually, you don't actually. He uses pods. I can't remember the terms anymore. No, he doesn't. He gets mad if you say he uses pods. But he uses
pods. He's a pod person.
Yeah, he's a pod man. I actually really love. I really do love the U.S. Open tournament structure. To be quite frank,
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
So,
if only layout 3 wasn't a complete piece of garbage setup. Other than that, I think they actually have. They're onto something. I think they're onto something.
What are they on to?
They for a 40k event. It's actually pretty well run. Their terrain set isn't complete and utter garbage. Layout 1 and 2 are generally good. Layout 3, I think they're still trying to figure out how to make a third layout is part of the problem. But
what? Wait, hold on. Wait, 1, 2. So on the actual PDF, because we currently got it on the screen, they have layout 2. Wait, have I missed one? No. They just have 2. So the way that they've worked out how to do number 3 is they've just left it off. Yeah,
it's a shooting gallery on 3.
I remember the original series. There was only 2. But maybe there's a third now.
They had added a third, and people were competitive side. People were not keen on it.
Yeah. So, but then I don't know what the pod system is, but there we go. So I don't know how many people there are, but you will have a man in the field, old Robbie Rob, on an exclusive VIP ticket. Yeah,
with his Bass Pro Shop T-shirt on,
just floating
That's
around.
How you'll find him.
Yeah,
just hanging out unionization pamphlets with the beleaguered staff who don't even work for Games Workshop. They're all just be like, "Man, I was just at the bus station, and someone offered me $10 to come here."
I hope there's a Ron Swanson moment where they have just random event staff and they're like, "Have you heard of 40,000ist K?" And I'm like, "Bro, yes." Tell me more. I can't wait. I don't think you're allowed to do any filming there, which is a shame. And if you do, obviously, the Pinkertons. So, but I'm going to be conscious of that. But it's pretty exciting.
Man, Wizards of the Coast. Jesus fuck.
So what actually happened? Because I've only gone as far as you guys talking about it in our side chat.
Okay, calm down just for a second. Back up, relax. Let me tell you a story.
I'm ready.
So this guy with like 11 followers on YouTube loves Magic the Gathering. Orders a pack of what he thinks is the new set, March of the Machines. A couple sets. He has a friend or somebody that owns a shop, offers him 24 of the sets. And he buys all 24. He gets home from his vacation, picks them up, and they're actually for the next set that has not been released yet. They have not been spoiled. This is a set that's supposed to be released in like 2 months. Somehow his provider got the wrong set because it's called March of the Machines Aftermath. So easily a mistake could have been made. He makes a video. It's not good because he's like, just a little old dude just showing off his Magic cards, and he just unpacks them and he's talking through the whole thing about, man, this is so cool that I got this new set. I don't think anyone's seen these before. Shows off all the cards. That's it. Like a couple days later, he's doing another video and the Pinkertons show up at his house. And they're like, we would like all of the things you have bought because you stole them. And if you don't provide them to us, we will have you arrested. And his wife was like crying because they thought she did the big illegal. And then he gave all the stuff back, including wrappers. They wanted like the garbage from it and everything. And then he spoke with some representative from WotC, and they're like, oh, we're really sorry. Like, we didn't want it to go that way. Which clearly, of course, you fucking did. You sent the Pinkertons.
Hold on, just one.
Like, and this was the first step. They didn't contact this guy.
I was gonna say, like, were there any pre-escalatory?
No, there was no like, hey guy, like, we sent you the wrong product. Can we have it back? It was like 0 to 100. Here are the Pinkertons to retrieve our product, or you're going to jail. Yeah.
How do you go to jail for that? Pinkerton jail.
Being a bad.
Also known as kidnapping.
Yeah. Pinkerton jail. We've had union busters in the UK for a long time. Like under the Tories, we had
proud English tradition.
Proud English tradition, being scabs and union busters. Shout out to all of them. Hope they meet the same fate as Maggie Thatcher. And
died in old age.
Damn it! No, somewhere else. Somewhere else.
Died peacefully in her sleep.
Somewhere else. But anyway, yeah, we've had a proud tradition of that here. But I'm not sure if we have the Pinkertons, so I'm going to be conscious of it. I will be on Pinkerton watch at Warhammerfest, though. That's necessary, I think.
What if you were the Pinkertons at Warhammerfest?
Yeah,
I'm not a class traitor.
So anyway, and like people have noted in the chat, like the Pinkertons can't actually arrest you.
No.
But like that's like they were throwing around that he'd be sued, that he'd be arrested. It was a whole thing. Anyway, suffice to say, he has sent back the product. And it's not gone well for WotC. There have been a number of investigations that seem to indicate, Gizmodo did one, that this isn't the first time that they've sent the Pinkertons to deal with leaks.
Fucking goons.
This seems to be like maybe their go-to move. And it is funny because with GW, when you accidentally leak something, they just immediately publish it on Warhammer Community. So at least kudos to them for not going to.
I've seen
now
this.
Now they're going to be like, what? We could have sent some goons.
No, I've seen this a lot. Like, I've seen this a lot online. There's a lot of memes going around where people are like, do you know what? Games Workshop are pretty greedy and pieces of shit a lot of the time to us as customers, but at least they're not sending the fucking Pinkertons. And I'm like, I don't think that should be your metric.
Also, let's be honest. They're just going to send a beleaguered store manager who had to shut down their shop and drive 40 minutes without any compensation for travel costs.
Yeah,
to just sort of like exhaustedly ask you to please give it back.
They're gonna send Eddie Eccles over and just be like, and he's gonna be smiling the whole time and just lost and confused. Yes,
but just slowly pushing Mike Brandt out of the frame.
I guess you guys have.
Have you seen the? I watched that video back. I didn't. I'm saying this for a bit, but because why would I watch it back? But if you notice the entire time, Mike is actually leant sideways, green line, but Eddie is always straight, green line. Yeah, no messing. There's some real power dominance there. Does that mean Warhammerfest, if it's got 40k coverage, will have Mr. Paul Murphy there doing the? Oh, hi guys.
Probably.
Oh my God, winner, chicken dinner. Can't wait. I'm excited. I'm gonna try and get a photo.
TPM, man. He wouldn't even. I think he'll take a selfie with anybody.
Yeah,
so, like you could probably get in there.
Paul Murphy won't big man you. Paul Murphy won't big man you. Don't worry.
Okay, all right, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. All right, good. Old world news, if there is any. There's none at the minute. We're waiting.
Although I will say, I want to call out. They've been marching forward with the 40 Years of Warhammer. They're on Article 16, and it's week 17 of the year, so they are on pace to get through 40 weeks of Warhammer.
Oh, that's good.
And then drop the old world, I think.
Drop the old world. By the way, I'm still on date, by the way, for 40k to be launched at the same time as the Warhammer 40,000 collaborative stamp collection coming from the post office. Still the best prediction I've had.
I really hope not. I really hope
not. Is that June 24th?
No, It's June 8th, isn't it?
June 24th is when it's all in the office, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, like
because I thought on the thing you sent it was like June 8th or something was the release, which would make me sad because that's like 2 days before my event, and I would be real sad.
No, I'm almost certain the 40k is out on June the 24th.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So I just want to bring this up because Rob, I think rightly so, you are often banging the pots and pans about like the lack of artist credit and how they're underpaid and all that kind of stuff. And mostly I've just been like, yeah. As you've been going on about it until they do this thing about the orc shaman who conjured a classic new look for greenskins everywhere.
Oh, the article.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the 40 years. This is the 40 years in Warhammer, and it's one of my favorite models. It's an incredibly epic orc shaman. And does not mention, I'm pretty sure, anywhere here, Brian Nelson.
What a dick. Whoever wrote that.
Which blows my mind because Brian Nelson has, previous to this article, as far as I know, like always been mentioned around like he had multiple write-ups and White Dwarf in the day, and like just like that sort of the aesthetic of the GW orc is Brian Nelson's style. And he wasn't mentioned here. It was the first time I've ever noticed them like writing the creative talent out of the story, and I think it's bullshit. Did
you post anything about it on social media?
I meant to, but I don't think I did.
You really need to. Like that's how they know. You go on there and you say, "Hey, you fucking kumquat." Like, what about Brian Nelson? And they will respond to that.
That's true.
Yeah, always.
If we knew like a really influential like a content creator who like knew a lot of like these types of people, maybe they might be able to have them on their show.
Yeah.
You know how difficult it is to produce a show for someone? Just give me 5 minutes, right? I had to buy microphones. Like I don't have the resources. Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
I had to buy microphones and then use them on my show.
Right, just give me some time.
Yes.
Right?
Kumquat is an amazing insult. And everybody should be calling people that. Like that is my go-to. No. When some pilot is acting like a dick, I'm like, hey, fucking kumquat, you just land your goddamn plane.
I know you guys are not Big Lebowski guys.
I am.
You are? Okay, so you are?
Yeah, the Big Lebowski is great.
So the Big Lebowski, I've actually, this is something I've always wondered, never actually looked up. There is a point where he's exasperatedly arguing with somebody, and he calls them a quote, "You human," it sounds like kumquat or paraquat. You human. Paraquat. I don't know what it is. Let's find out. Human paraquat.
Okay. I'm excited to find out.
This is what we've come to.
Yeah, this is good though. This is where I want.
This is quality.
Yeah. Because Wizard Polish was the artist gets to keep the original they made. Oh, okay. Last time I'm going to recommend it. This is from Guy in the chat. But you'll need to read the Slaying the Dragon, a book about TSR, following the rise and fall. It's amazing to read story while living the Games Workshop story. It's a must. For example, did you know that when Wizards bought TSR, the CEO of Wizards took all the artists who still worked for the company into the art room and told them everyone gets to take your originals home because Wizards' policy was the artist gets to keep the original of what they the art that they made. That's pretty interesting. The book is called Slaying the Dragon, if anyone's interested and wants to read it. Did you find out what it was? Perd what?
Oh, no, I totally forgot I was doing that.
Oh, well, okay. My ADHD is slightly less than yours, so.
Sorry, guys. A toxic chemical that is widely used as a herbicide.
Oh, okay.
Primarily for weed and grass control.
Yeah. A human paraquat is a human pesticide. Cool.
I love it.
The other thing about Fest, which again is my favorite element, because if I find someone who's like showcasing the old world, I'm not going to move for 2 days and just play 8 games of the old world. And they'll be like, time for the next customer, and I'll be like, wrong.
Please allow these children
I am the next customer.
Absolutely wrong. Get ready for a scene. Yeah.
Get ready for a scene. Oh, fuck. That needs to be recorded. Get your phone out.
Yeah, winner stays on rule. That's what I'll say when I'm like shake
just
his
put
hand.
A pound down on the
just
on the
10
rail.
pounds. Yeah. On the... but there are no studio staff anymore. So just in relation to them not crediting,
they all quit
for the no, not yet. They no longer there's a policy at Games Workshop now where their events they no longer have studio staff. So obviously they have event staff and they have event management, but studio staff themselves, unless roped in. Are no longer, so you won't be able to talk to the writers for the Horus Heresy or 40k or any of those other things. Like there's a policy now where they can't be at events.
So it just can't be public facing.
Who's
gonna get fired over this? Who, like, honestly, what asshole is so stupid and petty that they're doing this? When will they be fired?
We know
because
both of their names.
This is really stupid. Like, it's aggravatingly stupid that you would hide your talent from the people who want to love them.
But also,
and then,
what are you going to Warhammerfest for?
Fest.
The tournament?
To Fest.
to Fest.
To Fest. Like, I am here to fest. Let the festival begin. Just dance
I thought this was a Ren fair. What the fuck is going on?
There'll be a maypole.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I don't know. Val, you can't and this is policy now as of this year. So, same when they had the Warhammer World Open Day recently. No studio staff, just people.
Like, do they even have like their marketing department staff allowed, like the media trained people?
Yeah, of course. Like, although
those guys are allowed out.
Although I'm not actually 100% certain on like their presenters. I think that they're going to lean into using a lot of influencers to fill the roles of public-facing people. Is kind of the goal.
Yeah, because that's much more controllable.
Yeah. Which is.
I guess those people you can literally buy off with plastic rather than having to meet salary demands. So it actually does kind of work. I won't lie.
Well, also, there's no cost.
Bad.
They cost zero.
They cost plastic. But I mean, actually, yeah, all right. A little tip of the cap there. That's not too bad. If you do have, a bunch of very thirsty, sycophantic content creators always willing to do whatever you ask them to for plastic or maybe some plane tickets, that is definitely much cheaper than paying the market rate for homegrown talent that you have on your like subscriber-based channels.
So that guy who's like showcasing how to play new Old World or new 40k is like, won't know who I am, and I'm like, bro, I'm staying here all day, and he's gonna be like, I had the most awkward customer on the Saturday who wouldn't leave.
Weren't they? Haven't they already been showing off 10th edition at Warhammer World? I heard that's happened a couple times now, where they've just randomly pulled it out. Yeah, there was a week or two ago. There was a big call in a couple of my secret discords for people to get to Warhammer World immediately because they were showcasing it with some NIDs and Space Marine models. So
wow.
I think they've just kind of been randomly doing that already.
I think that like, I mean, they have to train the staff, right, on how to and how to teach the audience. So I imagine that that'll be packed out, that section. So I'm going to go and find the kid who's teaching Necromunda. I'll be like, okay, boy, time to learn. Yeah. And then we're like,
now,
well, sir.
Is there an area that's not like? Are they even demoing other games than New 40K?
There is. If we look at the
There's
map,
a demo zone for other stuff.
There is a demo. It just says, what does it say? It says demo area, I think.
I thought I saw just like New 40K. Maybe
there is a zone for just 40K. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
There is a zone for just 40K. But that'll be, again, I imagine, busy and also smelly. So not keen myself to go to that section. But the Necromunda area, Old World area would be the best. So we'll see.
Have you played a game of Necromunda yet?
Yes, one. It was
How'd it go?
It's very confusing.
Warhammer World used to have, like, when I came and visited you there, they had, and I don't think Necromunda was even released yet, but they had like a dedicated hive table that was so complicated and like just a wonder to behold.
Wow.
And I wonder if it actually would be fun for playing Necromunda on.
So when I first started going to Warhammer World, like when I first got into the hobby years ago, I would go on a Wednesday because I used to be the late night gaming night. And I would go every Wednesday and we'd play Warhammer Fantasy with someone and we tried to stop our models like sliding down the Roman battle board on our movement trays.
Oh, I miss those days. I miss those when you had to flock them like crazy just to make it so that you'd stick for a second.
Just blue tack them on and be like, this is a disaster. Like someone would nudge a table, your entire deployment would be completely different. Yeah. So, but then like kind of like the mixture between like a German techno act and like extras in the Matrix, like 8 to 12 people would turn up with various like leather, but like not expensive leather, so like very plasticky looking outfits, and then various types of like Mohicans and Mohawks and colored hair. So like me, would turn up, and then they would get out a couple of boxes and they would just unfold this incredibly complicated set of like plastic and also paper boards.
Yeah.
Would then have a briefing, would then go on to play what looked to be the most joyless experience I've ever seen people play. Never saw a smile. Never
saw
like
a Kraftwerk listener party.
yeah, like, and then would deassemble it all, and then it would leave. And I was always like, who the fuck are those people? Like every week, I was like, what are they? Like, who are they? Anyway, later turns out, like when I eventually got to, they were playing Necromunda, I eventually learned. But the leader, the chief of them all, who is now a Black Library writer for Necromunda called Mike Brooks.
He's amazing. Anyway, continue.
yeah, like that's what I've heard. I've heard everything he makes is really great, or everything he writes is really great. But like he was the leader of the German techno underground wargamers.
It makes sense.
It makes so much sense. Anyway.
He's like, I love him. I love it because he doesn't give a shit. Like people hate him, by the way, like because of his takes on like female space marines and shit.
Really?
And
yeah. Apparently he's really
nice. I think
nice.
He's the best.
Yeah,
he's just awesome.
He
wrote the Lion book.
That's what I heard. So that's why I wanted to share that story. It was really fun watching someone. But also, just FYI, again, if you want a job at Games Workshop, just go and play there. And pretty much they'll just give you a job.
Right, you want to work here?
Maybe that was the people showing off 10th edition at Warhammer World, maybe they weren't employees. Maybe they just someone who'd found the rules. They were like, oh, we'll teach you, lads. This is easy. Anyway, right, so I think that's us done. Unless... I don't know what else there is to say. Where we caught
So do we
up
have
with.
any final? How about some final old world predictions?
Ooh,
What is
old
going
world
to
predictions.
actually happen?
Okay, I'm excited about this. Old world predictions. You go first.
Peter will give a very, very specific and serious answer.
Okay.
Well, I can't go right now. I need to hear yours because I don't know.
Go on. What you got?
Think about it.
Give me the zazz.
In my head, I think it's only been the launch box, but as immediately we started talking, it's like clearly it's just gonna be friggin' like some like 3D renders of someone's foot. Like, so I'm disappointed. But hopefully, I'm hoping for a launch box. Is it too much to hope for a launch box?
Is it too much to hope for a launch box? Like
to be revealed.
No, I think we'll see a launch box. I think that's what we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
they're canon in the old world. That's the announcement. If only.
But then they would have to show the launch box for 40K and old world at the same time, and that might be too much.
Oh really? They haven't actually announced the 40K launch box, have they?
No. Or given us a date.
Well, they never really do give a date, do they? It's like 2 weeks. They would announce it like 3 weeks before. So like June 1st, we'll get like a pre-release or whatever.
Again, absolutely stupendous marketing. Whenever they let you know that they've got a product coming, and they're like, "But you'll never know when."
TBD.
Who knows? Also, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow now. Quickly! Oh, we've sold out. I'm so sorry. Like,
oh, you didn't know it was on sale? I don't know. Yeah, like I might. Yeah, but you're right. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll just be. Maybe it'll be some models then. I'm just hoping something good.
Yeah. Okay. Pete, what's your prediction?
Okay. This is what it's gonna be. I fucking guarantee it. And if it's not this, you need to pay me. GW right now, send me money and do what I'm saying.
Perfect.
Okay? Because this is like, if they did this, everybody in the chat, everybody at home, like immediate sexual tension would just explode. Like you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. Okay, like
you feel like you were in a Bass Pro Shop.
The more I think about this, the more excited I'm getting. So it has to happen. Okay. So picture this.
Picturing.
You're sitting down in the auditorium. Mm-hmm. They've got these shitty plastic chairs. You're not comfortable.
It stinks.
You've listened to Mike Brandt talk about Vanguard veteran Space Marines for 35 minutes. Okay. Because he's just pushing for time. They're trying to get in the back. They're trying to get the PC working, but they forgot their aux cable. And then, lo and behold, screen comes down. Okay. Screen comes down.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Lights go out.
Yeah.
And you hear like the galloping of hooves. Like screen lights up. You see just like horse hooves, right? And they're just galloping along across like this field, right?
Yeah.
But slowly, as they're galloping and it's going, the grass starts to like melt away. Okay. And it slowly turns to sand.
Yeah.
And those hooves become more and more skeletal.
Okay.
And then you hear like this like etheric neighing of horses, and it stops. I don't know what that is,
but sure. Yeah.
And the camera pans back, and there's fucking Cetra sitting there in his chariot, and he steps out and he says, "Cetra does not kneel." The crowd goes fucking wild. They're just like, "What the fuck? Cetra, the coolest, second coolest for Warhammer Fantasy Battle character of all time. He's right here in the fucking building." And then they go bam, 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 and you get pictures of a new Cetra like 3D render because they don't obviously have a model yet. But they're like, "Look at this guy, he's fucking cool, and it's Cetra, and Cetra is the best. So fuck you." And that's what it ends with. Cetra is the best. Fuck you, right on the screen.
Pete, that was a lot more earnest than I think you've ever done anything in your entire life.
Like, yeah. I'm excited up to the Cetra is the best. Fuck you. Not sure that should be included, but the rest, pretty like. Unbelievable. I would just bam.
See, the thing is, in the Mind Palace that you took me to, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
However, I don't know if you two can see the screen. However, I think the execution might unfortunately end up a little bit more panto horse. like I'm in for everything you described. I just think you end up with Cetra doesn't kneel, and it's just like the very cheap Halloween
And, like,
costume where
but you
like
need to
someone's
have
the
him
bone
across.
guy.
Like, you need to have him across from like a bunch of Bretonian like lords or something, right? When he does it, to like, it would just be because you know what, End Times was amazing, except for when it was a piece of shit. But the very like that scene in the End Times when Cetra like decide like he is chosen to follow the Chaos Gods, and then you find out, nah, sucker, I didn't anyway, and he does that like a Cetra does not kneel business, and then fucks them over and kills a bunch of them. Like, that scene is so cool, and they need to just only ever do that.
Okay,
just
Only
only
Cetra.
ever Cetra. That's it.
okay.
No matter what we get, it won't be as good as what Pete just dialed up. So I think maybe for the reveal, we'll just replay what he just said.
Can we?
Yes, we can clip that out. That's very possible. That's with today's Pete. You might not know this, but we're streaming in 1080.
I've heard. You
Lot of
know,
peas.
there was a time when I had a 1080 camera. Remember? I was. It's in my van. I can bring it out, but I'm very happy for you.
Whoa!
I'm very happy.
Don't get too much tech out here. That's pretty wild.
Like-
Okay. Well, like maybe you can reconnect. I would love to connect with you guys during reveal day. I will be at Fest. I don't know what the internet will be like. I can build up, as we know quite comfortably, the equipment for a shadow stream. So just a laptop where I just like talk, not actually anything that anyone would be bothered about. Seems very.
I think you
comfortable
could
and
just
safe.
do an on 2019 and phone stream the finals, and you know,
It's literally the same as doing a TikTok live. Like, so I don't think anyone can. It's literally the same. It's a live video on a social media platform. Seems very comfortable, very safe. Yeah,
you can play a Taylor Swift song in the background.
Exactly. Yeah, the intern is lolling. That is correct. I think in incredulity is worried. But yeah, so we maybe we could join you live at the weekend. Who knows? We'll see.
You could be that. You could be like that bro who brings like the full like laptop, keyboard, and mouse like stream setup into an MMA ring, and then just gets the shit kicked out of him on his stream. You just be that guy.
Yeah, just be that guy.
I think we can. Wait, I reckon. Like, listen, I reckon a couple of get if you really want us to get spicy, Val. What if I get the Mevos? Yeah, secrete them. Yeah, hook them up to the Wi-Fi. You connect them remotely. Yeah, I'll give you like secrete them. Yeah,
I don't know how he's going to sweat out
right out of
Mevos,
the
but yeah.
it's like fucking Crisco after a dinner at Wendy's. Like,
yeah, okay. Or whenever there's an announcement, I can just do a divorced dad from the car quick video, and just get into
that's my life.
Yeah, just get into the car. Just be like, "What? I can't believe they're releasing more Space Marines. This seems brilliant." I can find someone's car. It'll be fine.
Look, there's a lot of quality ideas here that you know I think we could action. So.
Oh, also, I printed a whole Bretonian army. Just FYI.
The Rogv is telling you to behave.
I just want you to be. Oh yeah, the Rogge. Don't ignore that. So it's fine. Okay, so what have you guys got planned this week? Val, you got any square bast nonsense planned this week?
No games. No games. I might pick up now that the fever of Total Warhammer 3 has passed over me.
Wait, is it Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday.
I might play Old World today. Hold on, let me check. I've just
You
noticed.
keep saying this on Thursdays. I can't wait to see it. Maybe it'll be. But and I started work on a Vampire Counts army that I might pick up again and start hobbying on. That would be about it.
Okay, that's great. What Vampire Counts? How come Vampire Counts?
I love Vampire Counts. I think because they made a pretty seamless transition into AOS, and also because they're quite beloved, you don't often see like fully painted collections of Vampire Counts. So I have a very busted collection of secondhand Vampire Counts I've built up over the last couple of years. And I'm finally sort of giving some TLC to it. Tech Breeze Dicky came over and we had a little hobby day a little while back. So
that's cute.
It was nice. Real cute.
That's
Real
cute. That's cute. That's cute. I'm really excited to build the Square Bass network for Old World, Like that's actually something I'm really excited about. Like I'm excited about the launch box and the rules, but I'm excited about actually getting on that train. New book comes out, like talking about do you know what I mean? Like getting into the nitty gritty, crunchy. Like, oh, I can't believe you're taking 25 halberders. I'd definitely go 5x8. Like because that isn't content that existed when the first series of like it did a bit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but like not at the
And they
scale.
were all wrong.
Yeah, like so, like at the scale at which we're able to knock it out, like I'm super hyped for that. That's really.
I just look forward to a game system that doesn't have anyone who's mastered it immediately, so that way I could come in with opinions before immediately
for
being
about
wrong.
6 seconds.
Yeah, for about 6 seconds, and then just be completely wrong.
I mean, you not more than anyone, but probably in the world, are uniquely able to just immediately smash it out. Like from the get-go and get a lot of practice games in, which is fun.
Yeah, I was actually eyeballing because I have obviously a ton of streaming equipment that I have no real purpose for anymore, and I was like, yeah, I could do a battle report, and then like, that's up there with like maybe I should just open a hobby store.
No, Total Biscuit, that bad boy. Like not Total Biscuit. What was it? What's his name? Like Lord Tremendous, Striking Score. Just give me a still image. With some voice over the top. Production time 8 minutes.
Heelan Hammer. There's
no, never did
two
battle
Canadian
reports.
Guys. No, there's a Canadian guy. Once Bitten 360.
Yeah, Mr. Malorian.
Mr. Malorian, Once Bitten 360. They both did those.
Yeah. R.I.P. Total Biscuits. Oh yeah, that was I thought it was not him. I think. But again, I'm just talking about those video battle reports. You can absolutely do that.
Yeah, a lot of things I can do.
Lots of things.
But me not do. Okay, and then Falcon, you got any? You doing any hobby? How are you at hobby at the minute? You're so busy driving.
Yeah, I mean, I've been magnetizing a lot of my Blood Angels to prep for 10th, mostly. Painting a Votan army for shits and giggles when I can. But most of my hobby time right now is prepping for Falcon and hoping people actually show up. I bought 20 tables of AOS terrain that I'm slowly building in my my garage, essentially, right now, one piece at a time. I've got some friends that are helping me out. So I've got another 10 tables on the way that I've got to go pick up, about 2 hours away. So working on that. I got to get motivated to send some updates out about the player packs. I want to put your terrain pack on my website so people can see that. And really just focusing on getting that out of the way and getting prize support ready and hoping I don't take too big of a hit financially for it.
Was the terrain pack okay? Was it helpful?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I loved it.
Okay.
It helped me purchase the terrain because I basically had zero good AOS terrain in my opinion. So I used it as kind of a baseline for what I needed to buy. And I'm going to be setting up based on those pictures you sent me, basically.
Oh, nice. If anyone wants those, by the way, they're on the honestwargamer.com/terrain, and they're free, and everyone can use them. So there's a pack, and
it was super helpful because I had -0, -1 billion idea how to set up an AOS table. So I bought
That's going to be the interesting bit for Old World, right? Like that's going to get released, and I don't know. Like I think maybe I'd be leaning on you two more than anyone. Like, what the hell? Because terrain just was in the way, right? In old Warhammer Fantasy Battle?
Mostly. I mean, like, you could get benefits from, like, there were benefits and negatives to, most people only ever used, like, forests and rivers, and then you'd have 1 or 2 towers on a table to garrison, because garrisoning could be a problem. There was a lot of terrain that just never got used because it really kind of ruined the game. The Magic Portal, for example. If you ever played a game using the Magic Portal, you never used it again because that just ruined lives. I had a guy playing a game when we had that on the table, leave his army, almost break the table and walk away after I had 20 Saurus warriors take out his entire High Elf army.
Perfect.
In a game. It was beautiful because we'd had an argument about if I could beat him with just 20 Saurus warriors, and then I did.
Okay, well, great. I don't have much time for hobby this weekend, being at Fest. Although I have been printing. I've been a little bit disappointed. I think 25mm bases are very easy. Square bases are easy to find in 3D print. 30mm not something I've been able to find so far. I found this very cool designer that does them. So you kind of, because on an FDM printer, you print them upside down, so the top is the bottom bit. Then you print the kind of outwardly angled, so it works really well. But then the center bit, there's literally a bit you 3D print for the magnet, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. Yeah, you could just scale it up, but I'm not super confident I'm going to nail that. So that's kind of on my list of jobs to do. And then I've also started finding movement trays to 3D print as well. Actually, quite involved. Like the variety of movement trays you just need for a single army. I can see why many of them back in the day weren't like themed with the army, because
it was fucking difficult. Yeah.
Because you need a lot.
I had like 6 themed movement trays that I had for my skirmishers, because but even then that was only for deployment, and then they would end up off of them almost immediately. And then I probably had 30 other movement trays that I brought with me to every event. So
yeah, it's super. It's actually quite frustrating, but like I'm only doing it for a couple of armies, so it should be fine. So yeah, that's
I think one of the biggest problems with it is that we don't know what the default formation will be. Like, yes. I mean, like if like in 8th edition, Pete knows this better than me, but like 6 wide, if you're on 25 mils, is pretty normal.
Yep.
If you're on 20s, like, you know, a horde formation stand is normal.
6s and 10s often were kind of the go-tos, unless you were trying to do shenanigans.
Yeah. So like and I'm sure that same type of thing will reveal itself, but we won't really know that until the game starts. So it does make it hard to plan for.
Okay, right. Well, listen, we got to go. There's people out there. There's people out there who Pete's losing his voice. Like Val's got to get out there to the Bass Pro Shop and get our sponsorship lined up.
That's right.
And I've got to start working out how I can strap Mevos inside my hat. That's the plan. So
he hid that Mevo in the only place he could.
His butthole.
His butt.
Oh my god! I could ass cannon the footage. Amazing.
You totally could.
Throwback.
Square bass.
Hashtag square bass. The ass cannon. All right. Well, Pete, thanks so much for being back on the show. It's been lovely talking to you.
I missed you guys.
Thank you to Val for the outro music. If you do like what we do here, please do check us out live. Like and subscribe. Val, you got any shout outs for us right now?
Shout out to Warhammerfest and the incredible reveal of Cetra coming at us this weekend.
Let's go. And then Falcon, anyone you want to shout out?
No.
I've been hyped to have you two back. Thank you to all of you. Loads of love. And a special shout out to the guy who has to spend 8 hours with me playing a game he doesn't want to play on Saturday. Loads of love. See you guys soon.